All right, this is the Big Douglas Show. It is a Friday, and today we have brought in JP Finley from NBC Sports Washington and 1067 The Fan. JP, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I was looking at February 4 is a year for you and Brian on the radio. Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Thank you. It's crazy, right? It's going pretty quick.
Yeah, I bet. I'm curious. I ask this of the guys all the time that do all three. You're a writer, you've been on TV, and you do the radio. Do you have one that you prefer over the others?
Oh man, that's a good question. I like doing it all. It's just so different. Like radio, it's kind of long form. It's 4 hours, whereas TV, typically a TV, especially with Channel 4, is just so tight. Like it's 90 seconds or something. We get a little more time on NBC Sports Washington, but the writing was always like the first thing I was into. It's why I got into this business, and I love doing it. I just have less and less time to devote to it. It's funny. It's the most time consuming of all three of those things. Like TV has by far the most like hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you got to be somewhere at 3:00 to hit at 5:30. But I love them all, man. They're all just kind of different.
It's interesting. The writers and the guys that grew up on journalism, no matter how much radio and television they do, tend to always. We had Lachlan Four on last week, and he said, "In the end, I'm always a writer, and I see myself as a writer." So I think it's interesting that most of the guys tend to go that way.
Yeah, I always just say I'm a blogger. That's how I feel.
JP, the name change is coming. It's interesting. The organization seems to be reactionary, and I know that Twitter loves taking pride in these things, but it definitely seemed like the whole thing was going to be based in New York. That has changed. Do you think we just misunderstood them the first go around, or is that a reaction to the fans wondering why everything was being done up in New York?
I don't know, man, and it's a really good, fair question, and I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it just gets harder and harder to do that. And I also think there's a couple of like, I'm not on the Today Show, but working in TV, things are often moving targets, and there's a lot. You have to be super flexible. So it's possible they always wanted it to be in DC and maybe weren't sure they could do it, so they didn't announce it as such right away. Like, hey, we're unsure of the plan, but we're going to be on the Today Show. I also think COVID stuff may have complicated things. I know I had some travel lined up that got canceled by NBC because of COVID stuff. I don't know. But I think however it landed, that it's going to happen at FedEx with at least a bunch of alumni around. There won't be fans, which I think is a bummer. But at least it's landing in the right place, however they got there.
What is the chance that we'll get to the second without the name leaking from somewhere?
I mean, I suppose the name hasn't leaked, but I think people have a pretty strong feeling what it's going to be. At least I do.
So you're Commanders, right?
Yeah.
And you feel confident with that? I posted on my Twitter, and people can still go and vote there. It feels like the last three are Commanders, Red Tails, and Legends. Am I off on those final three? But it doesn't matter. You feel confident as Commanders.
I feel like it's Commanders, but I'm not reporting it. I'm not saying it definitively. Right. It could be something else. But I've felt for like a few months now that it's going to be Commanders. I hadn't heard Legends. That'd be new to me. Red Tails would be cool. What's funny is in the last couple weeks, I've kind of come around that I wish it was. I think Hogs would have been the coolest, and it has some history to it. And you get you put a pig on a helmet. It's pretty damn cool. But I'm also, dude, honestly, I'm just happy it's about to be over. Like, I'm just happy we'll get the name and move forward. Whatever it is, people, people say, it'll be a 50-50 split. I think it'll be way more than that. I think the bulk of people will be mad, and I think by the time we get to September and they're playing games, everybody's going to kind of just be on board. It's not going to be as bad as Wizards, whatever it is, and we've all just assimilated the Wizards. So
I've said that a bunch recently over the last month or two. Do you think, in a moment of honesty, they wish they hadn't taken 2 years to do this?
Probably. Yeah. I think for all of the bluster about, and I don't want to call it bluster because they really did try to have an inclusive process. I think most of it was legal stuff. I think that's the real reason it took so long. I think
they wanted Red Wolves all along and just didn't feel like doing that legal battle just to be shunned in 2 years.
No, I don't think that's it.
Okay.
I kind of still think they could have gotten Red Wolves. They just would have had to cut a big old check. I don't think they wanted to cut a big old check.
Okay.
Now, I recognize that the Minnesota NBA team, the Timberwolves, are, I think somebody reported that they're highly litigious and would protect their name. So maybe they didn't want to deal with that. But I don't know that they wanted Red Wolves all along.
Okay. Let's do. I've got some names. You tell me whether you think they'll be back next year. J.D. McKissick, had they started talks with him? I know they'd like to have him back.
I think that'll get done.
But you don't know if they've started talks yet.
I mean, started talks is so nebulous, right? Like,
sure. Okay.
Did Ron say to JD, "Yo, we want you back"? Certainly.
Right.
Have they actually ironed out? Are they close to 3.5 or 4 mil a season? I don't know that they've gotten that far. I know they're doing a lot of internal evaluations and giving guys some time off. So it depends on what level of talks,
Bobby McCain.
I think he'll be back.
DeAndre Carter.
That was interesting. I think they want him back, but I think they've got a pretty firm limit on what they'll pay. And I think, they might want to see what else is out there. If I was him, I would take the money, but, we'll see what happens. I think he'll be back because I think they want him back, but I won't be stunned. I would expect the other two to happen before that.
The kicker, Joey Sly.
I think that gets done. He was with him in Carolina.
He was pretty good. He was pretty good when healthy this year, right?
Yeah, I agree.
This is the year they can start with McLaurin. They're going to cut him a big old check, right?
I think so. Might not happen till – my thing is get it done before the new league year so that the receiver market doesn't reset because you got Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson. Like, it's a good market for wideouts. Godwin, I think they just franchise, so they're not going to franchise him again. Allen Robinson, they just franchise. They're not going to franchise him again. Like, some of these guys are going to hit real free agency and going to be able to command some real dough, and all that's going to do is just drive Terry's price tag up. I think it's possible that Terry's going to wait it out and try to get to free agency anyway, or at least wait it out and try to see what they do at quarterback. So I don't think it's as simple as hand him a blank check and let him fill it out. You know what I mean? You'd like to think it is, but I mean, if you're Terry and the complicating factor here is he's a third rounder that's never really gotten paid. He's counted for less than $1 million on the salary cap the last 2 seasons. Incredible. So when say they go, 18 a year for 3 years, we'll guarantee 2 of them, and we'll give you, a little bit extra guaranteed on a bonus. And I'm not a math guy. Say it's, what would that be? 3 for 56?
Yeah.
No, 3 for 54, I guess. And you guarantee 36 of it. And all of a sudden he understands there's a bag of cash of $36 million, and that's life-changing wealth. That might get him interested, Yeah. But if you don't get it done before March 15th, the new league year, I mean, it's going to go fast, and the receiver market will get reset to probably 20. I mean, if Devontae Adams actually hits free agency, is anybody going to be stunned if that gets to 21, 22? I don't think so. I mean, Robinson made 18 this past year, and the cap's about to jump.
Better chance week one. We see Sheriff starting or Heineke starting.
Heineke.
Right. No chance. And that's not because they don't want to upgrade the position. You're just confident that Sheriff won't be back next year.
Yeah. And I also think if they draft a rookie, are we confident that rookie's going to beat out Heineke by week one? Hey, how about this, Doug?
Okay.
Heineke's under contract for next season. Sheriff isn't.
Okay.
So
well,
there's my baseline for my answer. And, dude, I just looked up, like, DeAndre Hopkins is making $27 million. Like, the receiver market's going to go nuts.
Right.
I mean, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, they're all making 20. So you're going to have to pay Terry.
They may be looking at franchise tags then.
Yeah, but that's a year out, and then you get on a road to – I mean, it's kind of a road to nowhere. We saw it with Kirk. We saw it with Sheriff. It's not a road to keeping your best players around long term.
Correct. Let's see. What quarterback this year? They're going to attack that thing again, just like they have. I mean, people complain that they haven't done it. They've tried to upgrade the position. They just haven't gotten there. You think they'll do that again? Are they going to be in on, say, Russell Wilson and guys like that?
I think it's Wilson or Watson. I think they go very hard. If not there, maybe it's Garoppolo. I'm kind of talking about maybe it's Carr. I even if there's a coaching change out there, I don't understand why they would get rid of Carr. They've got him at a bargain, relatively. And you got to get a deal done, but I don't understand that. Garoppolo, I've come to find kind of interesting if it doesn't cost you a first round pick. If you can get Jimmy G for a second and a third, and you still have your pick at 11, I would add the best receiver on the board at that point. Like, I get that pretty interesting. I could find it. I find Jimmy G appealing if the compensation required isn't a first rounder.
People ask me why would they want to come. I mean, I would think being able to tell Russell Wilson that they could be the face of a rebrand. I mean, how many rebrands are there going to be for the NFL franchise, right? Like, I would think that would be a selling point.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, the thought that, like, Sierra wouldn't want to come here, I find a little silly. It's a huge market on the East Coast. Like, you can get to – they got private jets. They can get wherever they need to go. Like, Seattle's pretty remote. DC isn't. I
heard she's getting into politics, too.
Perfect. That's just what we need.
Well, yes, but if you're friends with the first lady and you like being around, then being in DC might help you with whatever it is that you're trying to do that way. You think it's a better chance that they land one of those or draft quarter? Or you think they draft quarterback in the first round at all, even if they don't get one of these guys, or you think they prefer drafting in the second? Do you know who they like in the drafts? Let's do that.
It's too early. I think some folks over there like Kenny Pickett, like his cockiness, kind of a little bit of brashness to him. Mm-hmm. I think they like that. You know, there are people that will hold it against him that he came back to college for a fifth season, but I don't think this crew is that type. I think they would value that he came back and won the ACC. How often does Pitt win the ACC? I think to this group that matters.
In a moment of honesty, do you think they regret not taking Fields last year? That first round pick that the Bears, not that he lit the league on fire, but my understanding was they liked him last year. An extra first round pick wouldn't have been that big a deal.
I don't, dude. I think that's a little more bluster than I think they don't. Okay. I think that's a bit of revisionist history because they were cool with Fitz. Like, they were legitimately cool with their plan. Right. And I think now that the plan didn't work, they want to sell a little bit more of, we thought about this long and hard. And I think if Jamin Davis had come out and been a baller for them, you wouldn't have heard any of that.
Okay. Yep. Quickly, what are they going to do with Deron Payne?
I think, especially if you're talking Wilson or Watson, I think he's part of the trade package.
And if they don't end up trading, I mean, I think the next logical step is they can't pay everybody, right? So I mean, that's a guy they just let walk if they can't work out him being part of a trade package.
Probably, and you get a compensatory third.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I mean, you're probably losing Settle. I think Ioannidis is up next year. I'd have to double check that. Maybe you can make it work, but I tell people get caught up in that fight in Dallas. I don't think that'll have any impact on what happens there. I do got to run though, man. I'm getting the look from my producer.
All right, JP, thanks so much, man, for hopping on with us today. I appreciate you.
Happy to do it, Doug. Take care, bud.
All right, man.
See you, dude.
Yep, thanks.